Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gregory Gandrud, and I am a candidate for treasurer of the California Republican Party. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. It's great to see some people that I've known for a really long time, and also great to meet some new people today. I actually live just up the road. I live in Carpinteria, and I've lived there for about 30 years. I served on the Carpinteria City Council, and I've actually been a Central Committee member in the County of Santa Barbara for about 22 years. Soon after I was elected to the Central Committee, I was elected there as treasurer of the Santa Barbara County Republican Party, and I served as 10 years as the county treasurer there for the Republicans. The job of treasurer for the California Republican Party is a really serious job. In California, it's actually illegal for a political committee to receive or spend money without having a treasurer. You can operate without a chairman, but you cannot operate without a treasurer. And the treasurer actually can go to jail. The treasurer and the committee can be fined. The treasurer can go to jail. So I take the responsibilities of being the California Republican Party treasurer very, very seriously. The responsibilities include filing all the reports with the Federal Election Commission and the California Fair Political Practices Commission, as well as being accountable for all the money of the party, and also working to support the treasurers throughout the state in each of our 58 counties who do our work as grassroots Republicans. I'm very pleased to have the support of some very important people in this room, people like Diane Alexander, and Carrie Nelson and Tamara Howard, and statewide also some other very important people like Sean Steele and Harmeet Dillon, our National Committee man and woman, and Sean's wife Michelle, and many current and former county chairmen and statewide chairmen. A little bit more about my background. One of the things that really got me interested in politics was the fact that my great-grandfather in Minnesota served as both an assembly member and a state senator in the Minnesota legislature. So I was raised from a very young age to value public service. And it was great to hear Charlie talking about his military service and about his experiences as a college Republican. When I was at USC in 1980 and I voted for the first time, I voted for Ronald Reagan in the primary as well as the general election, just because it was so obvious that he had the answers to what we needed to be doing in America. It's sad to see what's happening in California right now. You know, I was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life. And in the 60s, growing up, we had the best of everything in the state. We had the best water systems, schools, hospitals, roads. And today we're seeing things really crumbling under the Democrat regime. I've served on the California Republican Party Board of Directors in the past. Actually, 8 years ago, I was elected as your regional vice chairman, and I represented the 6 coastal counties as the Central Coast Regional Vice Chair. And I'm pleased to support Lindsay Stetson, who's running for that position now. Mike Osborne served in that capacity before. I was pleased to serve with Mike on the board. Mike was the treasurer of the California Republican Party when I was elected to the board 8 years ago, and I was reelected 6 years ago unanimously. But I've been off the board for the last 4 years. But I have continued to serve on the Initiatives Committee of the California Republican Party, and I continue serving in my own county. I'm a caucus chairman for the 1st Supervisorial District. I'm on the executive committee of our county party and the executive committee of the California Republican Party. One of the things that I've done recently that I'd like to share with you is I think we need to always be on the cutting edge of fighting against the Democrats, trying to find new ways to fight the battle, the ideological battle. I've formed a group along with some concerned parents called Fair Education Santa Barbara. It was brought to my attention just a couple months ago that the far left, so-called social justice warriors, had infiltrated our schools in Santa Barbara. What we found out is that they had hired a nonprofit called Just Communities, like these social justice people, Just Communities Central Coast, and they'd gone into our schools. And the school district's actually paying them $300,000 a year. This has been going on for 10 years. They've spent $1.3 million over the last 10 years to pay these social justice warriors to come into our public schools and train teachers and train students. And their message basically is that the oppressors are the white male, Christian, capitalist, heterosexual, able-bodied people, and that everybody else is the oppressed. The women, the brown people, the homosexuals, the disabled people, they are all being oppressed, and that America, from its inception, has been nothing other than a racist, oppressive regime. So this is what they're pushing with our young people, taking our scarce dollars. I was under the impression that we didn't have enough money in our schools to pay for crayons and pencils and art and music. Here they are, they're taking money out of our schools and spending it to fill the kids' heads with this nonsense. So we formed this group and we filed a lawsuit in federal court. Many of you have heard of Eric Early. He ran recently for Attorney General for the state of California. And he came in like third place. It's unfortunate that he didn't win. We're stuck with Xavier Becerra, unfortunately. But Eric is a brilliant attorney, and we filed a lawsuit in federal court. We fortunately have gotten a Reagan appointee as our judge, and we have a hearing on February 25th on our request for a restraining order against these people to stop the flow of money and to void this contract and try to get these people out of our schools. So that's just one front we need to be fighting on. Thank you. I'd like to mention a couple websites just for further information. So the website for the lawsuit, if you're interested in learning more about it, it's faireducation.org. Faireducation.org. There's some information there about the lawsuit and how to get involved. We actually need money. It's a 501c3. Donations are tax deductible, and we need to get money so that we can pay for the legal fees. The other side is being represented for free by some big San Francisco social justice law firm. So this is a fight. We're really bringing the fight to the other side. Now speaking as far as like other ideas, like what can we be doing as Republicans? I was looking recently at our voter turnout results in Santa Barbara County, and we've all heard about the ballot harvesting and stuff. And yes, we need to embrace new technologies. We need to understand that there have been changes in the law and that there are new ways of turning out the vote. But we actually turned out in Santa Barbara County, we turned out 78% of our Republicans. The Democrats only turned out 72% in Santa Barbara, but what's really eye-opening was to see with the decline to states, the decline to states only voted 57%. Okay, so now we all know that a lot of decline to states actually lean Republican in their beliefs. They believe what we believe, many of them do, but we need to do a better job of identifying them, because if we can go out there and we can identify decline to states that are aligned with us as Republicans, we can actually get them to vote Republican. And I think that's something, I think you could call that low-hanging fruit, something we absolutely need to be doing. And one of the other candidates mentioned the small donor program. It's absolutely essential that we get these small dollars. You may have heard of there's federal money and non-federal money. Well, the federal money is the most important money that we can raise, because the federal money we can be using for all purposes. We're somewhat restricted with what we can do with corporate money and large dollar donations, but the small dollar money is money that we can use for absolutely anything. We can use it for supporting our federal candidates. We can use it for voter registration. So that's definitely something that we need to do. Having served on the board before and having heard some of the comments from other candidates that have spoken to you, we are weak in the communication area. We really are. We need to be focusing on issues that unite Republicans and divide the other side. And I think there are a lot of issues. If you ask most Californians what they believe, you'll find that they believe a lot of the things that we believe. If we talk about increasing the water supply, fixing roads, choice in education, pension reform, regulatory reform, jobs, lower taxes, you'll find out that most Californians agree with us on those issues. So those are the issues that we need to be emphasizing in our communication, and we need to make sure that the CRP has a communications director so that when the Republican legislators introduce legislation on these issues that we should be talking about, that we're sharing that across social media, we're using those issues in our local media interviews, so that we're all basically singing out of the same hymnal in terms of which issues. Because otherwise, the liberal left, the journalists, they try to define us. They try to fight against us. They use the media as a propaganda tool of the left, and we need to take control of our message and define ourselves, talk about who we are and what we believe in, because I'm proud of what I believe as a Republican, aren't you? Before I leave you, I want to mention that I have a website as well that talks more about me and my campaign. It's gandrud.org. That's my last name, Gandrud, gandrud.org. I'd be very, very honored to have support from each and every one of you. to have your endorsement, to have your vote at the convention. We'll be voting on February 24th on the Sunday general session in Sacramento. And I look forward to seeing many of you there. I really encourage you to become delegates. If you're not already delegates, ask your county chair or your local legislator for an appointment, and look forward to seeing you there in Sacramento. I've traveled all over the state as a grassroots Republican. I was there in the Central Valley for the Andy Vidak campaign. It was 106 degrees out there in Wasco, knocking on doors in that special election. And I really did appreciate Travis bringing his crew of people to that campaign. It's been fun sitting here listening. You know, I've known Jessica for like 16 years, I think, since she became executive director here. Steve Frank has helped us on so many occasions in Santa Barbara where we've had tough parliamentary issues. I've worked with Steve many, many times over the years. You know, Diane actually helped me when Rudy Giuliani was running for president 10 years ago. We needed drivers, and Diane brought another volunteer up and a couple of cars. We had an entourage of 3 cars waiting for Rudy at the Santa Barbara airport out there on the tarmac, and he was running late because his jet was fogged in Santa Monica. So we were waiting. We were like an hour late, and I was getting nervous about all this. And Rudy finally showed up and got in the car, and we were driving, and he was talking on the cell phone with his wife for a while, and he got off the phone, and he said, you know, why don't you drive a little faster? And I'm like, well, okay, you know, and it was, so drive a little faster. He's like, well, why don't you drive a little bit faster? And I said, well, okay, you know, we're going over 70 now. He's like, well, you can drive a little faster. I think we can talk our way out of a ticket. So anyway, it's been really a pleasure to serve, and I'm looking forward to serving as your CRP treasurer, and thank you so much for your support.